Hello everyone, I am Arena International Master and FIDE instructor Rishikesh Chavan. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in Chess Made Simple, we are going to learn about castling. So let's start. Castling is a special move. There are two special moves in chess, and one of the special moves is castling. Castling is the most important move. Why this thing is called special move? Because in this move, pieces move in a weird way. Pieces move in a strange way. Now in castling, only king and rook can be used. So only king and rook can do castling. So let's see what this castling is all about. Uh, so let's learn first how this castling is exactly done, or how it is actually done. So there are three conditions to be fulfilled, and then only you can castle. The first condition is that king, there should be no piece between the king and the rook. So this way, all the pieces like knights, bishop, and queen, they should be moved out. Then only you can castle. Second condition is that king and rook should not be moved from their starting squares. So when we arrange the board, we arrange king on these squares. And of course, black's king is moved. So we arrange king on this square, and we arrange rooks on these squares. So these pieces should be on their starting squares, and those pieces should not be moved from their starting squares. So this is the second condition. Third condition is that there should not be any attack on the squares through which the king is passing. So first of all, let's see how this castling is done. So there are two types of castling. One is king side castling and other one is queen side castling. So king side castling goes like this. We move the king first. Now you have to be very careful here, because if you want to castle, then you have to touch the king first. Then only it is assumed that you want to castle. If you touch the rook first, then you won't be allowed to castle, and you will have to move just the rook. So touch the king first, and it's a simple counting: 0, 1, 2. So you have to drop the king on g1, and then you have to pick up the rook, and rook will go on 0, 1, 2. So rook will be moving on f1. So that way king will come to g1 and rook will come to f1. This is why this rule is called a special move, because normally king can never move two steps. Normally rook can never jump over any piece. Normally you can never move two different pieces in one turn. But all these weird things, all these strange things are happening in castling, and that is why castling is a special move. So this is king side castling. There is queen side castling as well. Now be very clear: queen can never castle. So queen side castling means only king is castling, but he is castling on the queen side. So again the same counting: 0, 1, 2. So king will go on c1. We have to move the king on c1, and then rook will move like 0, 1, 2. Now it looks like both the pieces are coming on c1 only. So why this thing is happening? Because when we tried castling on the king side, it went very smoothly, but here we have to make some little bit adjustment. So that way this c1 rook will move ahead and it will come to d1. Why we have to make this adjustment while castling on the queen side? As you can see, on the king side there are only two squares, so the distance is short. So the king side castling is also called as short castling, and on the queen side there are three squares, so distance is long, and that is why queen side castling is called long castling as well. Right, now let's see what is happening in this game. So right now black has played this rook to e8, and he has pinned our bishop, and it looks like our bishop is in big trouble. Also this pawn is under attack, so there are a lot of things we need to cover. So here we are going to castle long. Normally castling short is preferable because it's more quicker than queen side castling. And when the king goes to g1, so king will be covered from all the sides, so that way king is more safe. Here in the queen side castling, king is not covered from all the sides. Also all the three pawns are not supported by the king, so this a2 pawn is on his own. So that way, if we are castling long, we'll have to move this one more move. the king b1. Now why we are castling long in this position? Because by castling we are giving check at the same time. At the same time our bishop is free because it was pinned earlier, so we have removed the pin and now our bishop is free to capture some extra material. So bishop will keep munching on these free pieces. Let's move ahead. Okay, what do we have here? Again, as you can see, this knight is pinned and rightly white is putting more pressure on this knight. Of course black can play something like rook c8 to defend the knight, but again this is very passive. So we have a better way to react to this attack on our pinned knight, and that is to castle. So we are not only castling to keep the king safe, but castling is done to activate the rook. So that way, after castling long, there is a check. White is busy in saving the king, and meanwhile, as the king has moved from the e8 square, knight's pin is gone, and now knight can pick up the free piece. Next. Okay, here again the b2 pawn was hanging, and black has captured that pawn. Black is being very greedy over here. Normally, that b pawn is called as a poison pawn. So you have to think more. You have to think properly. You have to think correctly before grabbing that pawn. But here it looks like black simply captured that pawn without any further calculation, and now he's going to get a shock of his life. Castle's long, and suddenly there is a check. Black is busy in saving check, and meanwhile we'll pick up the rook for free. Next. Okay, here black is attacking the pawn. Black has captured the pawn, I'm sorry, and at the same time he's threatening to capture the rook. So of course we can move the king up so that the pawn will be supported, but moving the king up is risky. White is going to play bishop g4 check, and then we will have to do lot of defending. So here the best way is castle's long. He gives check, move the king away, and everything is fine. Now if you compare both the king, then you will realize that our king is much more safer, and we are starting to attack the black king, and very soon the black king will be checkmated. Let's move ahead. Okay, again the similar looking position, just the position which we solved a little earlier. Here again he has gobbled this poison pawn without any proper calculation. So of course the same treatment, same punishment, long castle. So we are moving the king close to that hanging rook, and at the same time our rook is getting out, our rook is getting active to give check. So by giving check we have kept our opponent busy, and we'll pick up the rook. Now normally castling is a defensive move, but in such cases you can use castling as an attacking move as well. So you have to keep all these ideas in mind. So where you can use castling as a defensive move, and where you can use castling as an attacking move. Let's move ahead. Okay, so it looks like this bishop is in big trouble because the bishop is pinned. Bishop cannot move. Of course he can play something like rook f2 to support the bishop, but then that way white's position will be passive. But white finds a very nice way to deal with this pressure. Castle's long. Now if you calculate properly, then you will realize that black cannot capture this bishop for free. If he captures this bishop for free instead of moving this rook, then there follows queen into d7 check, king goes to f8, and queen into f7 mate. And that is why he is forced to play this, and then in meanwhile we'll pick up the bishop for free. So here we have not only saved our king, we have not only saved our pinned bishop, but we have also managed to capture more material. Next puzzle. Okay, so lot of things happening. So here what white has calculated, he thought that he will pick up the if black captures the rook first. Actually white has sacrificed a rook. White is sacrificing a rook. So what white has calculated, after queen into rook, he will capture this b7 pawn, and then after b7 pawn he is not only threatening the rook, but at the same time he is threatening to capture the pawn with support of his pawn. But there is a very strong move black has. After this capture, queen into pawn, castles, and after pawn into pawn check, of course, rook into pawn is a blunder because he will lose this rook. Black will simply move the king inside, and black is all happy with that extra rook he has. Let's move ahead. Okay, what do we have over here? Again, this knight is pinned. Right now, this is not happening much, even though this knight is pinned. Right now, there won't be any attack coming up. So we'll simply castle long. So that way, we are not only saving the king, we are not only unpinning the knight, but at the same time, we are putting the rook on the open file, and we are giving check. So he plays this. It's not a good move. He should have moved uh, king to e7 or something, but he has voluntarily pinned his own bishop, and we are going to attack the pinned piece one more time. Even if he captures the knight, we'll simply recapture. There is no way he can save this bishop. Next. Okay, uh, this is a bit complicated position. Let's see what is happening. uh, Both the players haven't yet castled, so the answer or the solution goes like this: knight into knight, and then bishop is hanging, king is exposed, there follows queen b5 check. Now, maybe black has calculated all this, and he has voluntarily or he intentionally has sacrificed the bishop, because he thinks that after queen into bishop and long castles, he's not only supporting the rook, but at the same time is threatening checkmate. But then all his plans can be stopped by a simple castling move, and that way, as you can see, white got this bishop for free. Next position, please. Okay, what do we have over here? Okay, the queen and king, these two pieces are in one line. So you can say hanging queen and exposed king. There is a very good chance to pin the queen, but right now this rook has no support. So here we are using castling as not exactly for safety reason, but to give this rook some support when he pins the queen. So he plays rook h1, and white is forced to uh, capture the rook. Even if he plays queen g5, it won't work. He will keep continue with f6, and if he captures, then queen into e3. Lot of threats are coming up. We'll simply recapture, and we are happy. We'll conclude this topic with one more very nice puzzle. Okay, the same thing. There is lot of pressure on this diagonal, on this queen. So already bishop is there, knight is attacking the queen and knight. So here white plays queen into queen. So he saves his queen, and now still there is a lot of pressure on this knight. This knight is pinned, and the knight is not only pinned, the pinned piece is attacked one more time. So black is expecting white to play something like bishop d2 and unpin the knight, but of course white has a very good plan. He plays castles, long castles, and not only he saved his king, not only he unpinned his knight, but at the same time he has given a check. So black is busy in saving check, and whatever he plays, maybe he plays bishop d7 or maybe he plays something like king e7, white is going to pick up the knight for free. So this is all about castling. Castling is a special move. Most of the time castling is used as a defensive move, but you can even use it as an attacking option, provided you have such position on the board. uh, Castling you have to do in every game. It's not compulsory, but if you castle, then not only your king is getting into safety, but at the same time your lazy rook is getting activated. That way you have more firing power to attack. So I hope you enjoyed this chess made simple session of castling. See you soon. Thank you very much, everyone.